Hi, this is Stephen from Own@This-Zone. In this video, I am going to show you the gaming benchmarks across 15 games at various quality settings on my ASUS Zephyrus G15. Now all will be at the native resolution of 1080p. My G15 has the Ryzen 4 800HS, 8-core processor, an RTX 2060 Max-Q graphics, and 16GB of 3200MHz RAM in dual channel. If you haven't already seen my review or the thermal analysis video, I encourage you to watch those, and I will leave links in the description. I bought this laptop myself for $1,400, so if you find the video useful, please consider subscribing, as it does help support my channel and fund other laptops I have to buy. First up, I want to show you PlanetSide 2, which is a massive multiplayer sci-fi shooter. This is an almost impossible game to benchmark because the frame rate is all dependent on how much action is going on in the game. Here at high settings with nothing going on, I'm getting around a good 65 to 70 FPS, but as soon as you enter the battlefield proper, even at low settings, you will drop down to about 35 to 40 FPS. I am testing all games with the turbo mode, hence the CPU does run crazy hot, even despite my repaste. Now I do recommend using power saver mode really, or if you do open up those fan air intakes, turbo mode or performance mode should be fine. Now I jumped onto Call of Duty Warzone and my squad mates were happy to be on YouTube, so this footage is at high settings with ray tracing activated. Gameplay was nice and smooth, averaging 82 FPS, but don't expect to max out the 240Hz refresh rate of the panel, because even at low settings we average 119 FPS. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was tested in a 40-player multiplayer map. Here it is at ultra settings. The CPU is holding a pretty decent boost clock. Expect around 97 FPS at ultra with decent scaling as we lower quality settings. Again, we get nowhere near the 240 FPS mark even at low, but you do get decent minimums and I saw no dips. Now Assassin's Creed Odyssey was tested using the inbuilt benchmark, so expect actual gameplay to be a bit better. I use this to maintain a consistency. Now it is a tough game to play for sure, and this footage is using very high settings. I recommend sticking to a max of high settings. It's not a super fast paced game, but at least you will generally be above the 60 FPS mark. In Metro Exodus, I used a single player sequence rather than the inbuilt benchmark, as I found that to be way off what you'd expect in game. Here we are using DX12 ultra settings with no ray tracing. This game runs great, averaging 102 FPS at this setting, and we see some decent scaling as we lower quality settings. In Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I played a few rounds at various settings, and at the top I show high and at the bottom low settings. You may recall that my ASUS TUF A15 had some serious dips as the CPU and the GPU clock rate dropped. I believed that was an Optimus issue, and I saw no such thing on the G15. Everything was really smooth. Even at high settings, I was getting minimums of 132 FPS, and at least in this game, if you want to push for that 240 FPS, you can do that at low settings. In Rainbow Six Siege, I used the inbuilt benchmark using 100% render scale. Now this footage is using ultra settings and the frame rate is very good. Even the minimum was 90 FPS at this setting, and expect over 170 FPS at low settings. The 240Hz 3ms screen with adaptive sync is great for this game. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I used the inbuilt benchmark, so here it is using DX12 and higher settings. Occasionally the CPU would dip, but on the whole it was around about the 4 GHz mark. You don't really see that much of great scaling in this game, and you're unlikely to notice any noticeable difference between 70 and 91 FPS. It's not a fast-paced game by any means, so you might as well enjoy all the eye candy. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a tough game to get high frame rates on. Here is the inbuilt benchmark using high settings. The CPU with turbo mode is holding a great boost clock, and the GPU utilization is very good. At high settings, expect around about 37 FPS, and switching to low, we get a better 74 with minimums at 52 FPS, so you may want to find a good balance between these two settings. Now I tested Overwatch in a multiplayer match, using Fraps to record the frame rate over at least 10 minutes of gameplay. Here it is at epic settings. Now my only criticism is the CPU just gets choked for air with those blocked air vents. Even with epic settings, your minimums will be over 100 FPS. It does seem to bottom out at around about 185 FPS at high, with not much benefit switching to medium. Either way, the 2060 Max-Q seems to do well in this game. Now for Battlefield 5 I played a 64-player Rotterdam map using DX11, and this footage is shot with ultra settings. The 2060 Max-Q is perfectly fine for 1080p, getting around about 84 FPS. Even a 2080 Max-Q will get around about 105, so that is not that much different. Lowering quality settings does see some improvement, but not by a huge margin. The minimums are well over 70 FPS, and I saw no major dips in gameplay. I used the inbuilt benchmark for Far Cry 5, and this footage is using ultra settings, and the CPU holds a decent boost clock. Even at ultra, expect an average of 81 FPS with a steady increase to 99 at low settings. Again, you're not going to notice a difference, as you might as well enjoy ultra graphics, as this game looks really good at that setting. Now, no game benchmark would be complete without having Fortnite. At the top is Epic settings, and at the bottom is low settings, just so you can see the difference in frame rate. You can see that at low settings the GPU utilization goes down, but its boost clock does go up. You get some nice scaling here. At Epic, expect minimums of 70 FPS, and at low you can average near 200, so yeah, this game is good for that 240Hz panel. Now Apex Legends doesn't have any quality presets, so I tested with max settings and also minimum settings. I played a full round of a match and used Fraps to record the frame rate. This footage is at max settings and expect anywhere from 70 to 130 FPS really. Fraps did detect a minimum of 61 FPS at max settings and 84 at lowest. Either way, the game is smooth and fun to play. Finally, we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and this footage is at Epic settings, and I used the same sequence at the start of the game. Interestingly, the minimums were the same as the quality settings were reduced, but I did see some decent scaling from Epic to medium. Well, I hope you found this useful. All in all, the G15 does play games well, and the screen is the best yet on an AMD system. With the 240Hz, 3ms and adaptive sync, I saw no ghosting or tearing. The really big negative is the system's airflow. The 4800HS is supposed to be good at 105 degrees, and I have seen temperatures reach 103. And this is with a fresh paste. I can only imagine what it would be like in 2 to 3 years as that paste starts to dry out. Anyway, thank you for watching. My next videos will include a smackdown between the RTX 2060 Max-Q and the 1660 Ti, as well as between the 4800H and the 4800HS, so make sure to subscribe to catch those. Bye now.